What if the very thing she spent years guarding her heart against has finally become the one thing she feels safe enough to trust? What if the fire she once feared in a man is now the warmth she quietly longs for? Because for the first time, it doesn't burn, it gently invites. Chosen one, what was once hidden inside you, everything you kept behind your silence, your strength, and all the years of mistrust is now beginning to soften. It softens because of who you have become. You are stepping into a new time in your life where your energy no longer makes the feminine heart feel tense or guarded. You are no longer the man who disrupts her peace or makes her build walls. Instead, your very presence helps her feel safe. Without force or effort, your energy gently melts away her defenses. What once felt like pressure is now felt as invitation. Your sexual energy, once wild and untamed, no longer arrives as something that overwhelms. It comes quietly as an offering. And this offering is unlike anything she has ever known. When you are near her, she no longer feels the need to hide behind masks. She doesn't try to control what happens or look for warning signs. She doesn't scan you with fear or caution. And the reason for this is simple. Your energy speaks before your words do. And what it says, without noise or effort, is that you see her. You see her truth. And that is all you want from her. This is a language most men never learn to speak, but somehow you have become fluent in it without even trying. You no longer pull at her heart. You no longer try to draw her in by chasing or persuading. You simply stand in your own completeness. You are whole, and that wholeness is what draws her near. You are not trying to seduce or impress. You don't need to. You simply carry yourself as a man who can be trusted. And she feels this, not with her mind, but with the deepest parts of her, the parts she buried long ago to keep herself safe. She has known men who touched her body, but never saw her soul. She has known what it feels like to be admired, only to have that admiration come with expectations. She has felt desire from others that turned into debts she was expected to pay. But with you, it's different. Not because you claim to be different, but because your energy asks for nothing. It simply gives her space. And in that space, she begins to offer the one thing she thought she would never give again, her heart. This is not a game. This is not about charm or performance. This is awakening. The powerful sexual energy you once carried, that used to race through rooms looking for somewhere to land, now rests like a steady flame. It doesn't chase, it doesn't push, it doesn't pressure. It simply waits, without waiting. It stands without asking. It burns without consuming. This sacred control over your fire is the signal her soul responds to. You're not stirring up her longing. You are creating safety. And when a woman feels safe with true masculine energy, she stops protecting herself. She lets go. She breathes deeper. She softens. Her posture changes. She remembers what it feels like to let someone hold her presence without stealing her power. And when she remembers, her heart, long hidden and guarded, begins to come forward on its own. You didn't force this. You didn't ask for it. You became worthy of it. Your energy no longer grabs what is not given. It receives what is sacred with honor. That is why her heart once locked behind walls built for survival, now stands at the gate, trembling not with fear, but with recognition. She knows you didn't come to rescue her. She knows you won't try to own her. She knows you won't try to shrink her. And she knows this not from what you say, but from how you are. Before you speak a word, before your name is even remembered, before any story is told, your energy speaks. And what it says is no longer what it used to say. It doesn't say, "Notice me." It says, "I already belong." It doesn't reach. It radiates. It doesn't seek validation. It confirms what is true. You are felt before you are known. And what they feel is not your effort to be seen, but your transformation. There is something sacred about a man who no longer needs to be seen to exist. A man who no longer uses his presence to impress. You have grown beyond needing to prove anything. You have let go of the hunger to be chosen. And in that surrender, you have become the one who is chosen without effort. The feminine does not respond to performance. She responds to presence, to truth, to the sound of something that resonates as real. And your resonance has changed. You no longer have to declare your worth. Your worth walks ahead of you. Your energy no longer fills the room in desperation. It settles into the ground like roots that have found home. It doesn't beg to be held. It offers to hold what is true. And that offering, that silent frequency, is what she feels when you pass. That is what draws her eyes. That is what makes her lean closer without realizing it. She doesn't know your story. She doesn't know your history. But her spirit feels the presence of a man who no longer needs to break things to feel powerful. Her intuition knows the difference between fire that burns and fire that builds. Her heart, so carefully guarded, feels a man who does not want to own it, but can finally be trusted to hold it. You are no longer chasing. You are containing. You are holding. And in that quiet strength, she finds what she's been longing for. She finds a presence that doesn't demand anything of her, that doesn't rush or press. A presence that tells her she is safe. At first, what she felt around you scared her. The deep pull, the calm, the way her heart reacted before her mind even gave permission. She had known what it was like to be drawn to the wrong fire, to fall for intensity that left her burned. But you disarmed her without a word, simply by being who you are now. Steady, full of quiet strength, a man with no need to reach or grab. And her heart slowly began to trust. Your energy no longer arrives in chaos. It arrives in depth, in stillness, in sacred intent. You didn't chase her. You didn't lure her. You simply stood where you are. Oh, grounded. Sure, and that stillness told a truth she didn't know she was waiting to hear. I will not use your softness against you. It is not that your energy is weak. Far from it. Your energy is strong. But it is the strength of a man who has been at war with his own hunger and come out with respect for it. You are no longer ruled by your desire. You are at peace with it. And she can feel that. She can feel that your eyes do not try to take. They see. That your hands do not try to grasp. They offer. That your heart does not race with conquest. It rests in knowing. The kind of woman who has built walls around her spirit does not trust easily. But with you, she doesn't feel the need to defend herself, Because what she once feared, a man's fire, she now longs for. Not because she is naive, but because your fire has become safe. That is the key. You have become a keeper of warmth, not a thief of it. She wants what she once feared, because you taught her how to feel again, without panic. You gave her back her softness, not with words or touch, but with presence. You became the permission she didn't even know she was waiting for. The permission to be felt, to be held, to be seen. And in that permission, her walls begin to melt. She is not falling for you because of what you say. She is rising because of who you have become. You are not her fantasy. You are not her escape. You are not a game. You are a mirror. You show her that a man can burn and still be gentle, that a man can walk without rushing, that a man can carry passion without destroying what he loves. And so she desires the very thing she thought would harm her, not because you dimmed your fire, but because you hold it with care, and it became the warmth she never thought she could trust. Her heart opens not by accident. It opens because you earn the right to hold what once only ran. You no longer try to get attention. You no longer knock on doors asking to be let in. You no longer shape yourself to fit hearts that aren't ready. And yet they come. Women who would have looked past you before now pause. They stay, not because of anything you said or did outwardly, but because your alignment invited them. Your restraint, your refusal to chase what is not meant for you. That is what called them in. Your sexual energy no longer shouts for attention. It hums softly beneath the surface. And those who are ready feel it, like a heartbeat that matches their own. And in that match, they know they are ready, not because you asked, not because you pursued, but because your presence said without words, you may enter if you are real. And she feels that not with her mind, but with the part of her that has always protected her from the wrong flame. When she steps into your space, her guard goes quiet, because for the first time, it does not feel like a test. It feels like permission. Not permission she needs from you, but permission she receives from herself. You have become the kind of man whose silence is not empty, it is full, whose passion is not threat, it is invitation. And so even though you never asked for her heart, it opens. Slowly, carefully, truly. Not because you pulled at it, but because it found a place that didn't demand a performance to feel worthy of love. She offers what she once swore she'd never give again, because your presence has shown her it will not be wasted. She doesn't see a man who wants to conquer. She sees a man who knows how to carry what is rare. She looks into your eyes and sees not just desire, not just admiration, but readiness. And that readiness tells her, this man doesn't just want a heart. He knows how to care for it. And so she comes to you, not because you reached, but because you rose. And in rising, you made space for what is real to come forward. Attraction is easy. It lives on the surface. But what you carry now is more than attraction. It is anchoring. You don't just draw attention. You create gravity. The kind that makes those near you feel they are touching something steady, something lasting. Your energy used to scatter in all directions. Now it is centered, still, and in that stillness, she feels like she can land, like the shaking inside her can stop, like the winds, can quiet. And in that quiet, her truth begins to rise. You don't have to pursue, because your energy has become a place to return to. You don't flicker. You don't explode. You burn low. You burn steady. And that fire is the kind that gives warmth without harm. That says, you are welcome here. And that is what she has been waiting for all along. She sees you now for what you really are. You're not a test, not a phase, not a brief spark that flares and fades. You're the safe place she didn't even know she needed. When she looks at you now, she doesn't see a man who brings quick excitement. She sees a man who feels steady, strong, and safe. You're strong, but your strength doesn't hurt. You're passionate, but your passion doesn't scare her. You're present, but you don't cling. And because of this, her heart starts to relax. Without knowing it, she had been guarding herself, bracing for the next man who might chase her light, but couldn't handle her storm. But you aren't chasing her spark. You're here to carry her storm. That's what makes you different. You no longer try to impress or pull people in with charm. You remind them what home feels like. You don't try to dazzle. You give them solid ground. And they respond, not because they're swept away, but because they're finally ready to stop drifting. You're the strength they trust. You're the calm that softens their voice. You're the presence they want near, not the one they want to escape. It's not because you chase them. It's because you've become a man who knows how to hold without holding too tight. You don't just attract anymore. You anchor. That's why her heart is ready to give itself to you, without you needing to ask. You have become the rare kind of man whose presence gives space, instead of trying to control. She feels it before she can explain it. She sees it in your calm eyes, and in how you stand, not to hide your strength, but because you're no longer ruled by it. Where others showed only desire, you show depth, and her heart trusts it. She spent so long meeting men who wanted parts of her body, her beauty, her energy, but not all of her. They wanted her without understanding her, passion without respect. So she learned to protect her heart, not because she lacked love, but because no one had seen her whole self until you. Now, in you, she sees something she thought didn't exist. Your fire no longer burns wild. Your desire no longer tries to take. Your strength no longer grabs. You wait. You stay. You act from clarity, not hunger. And that is what draws her. She feels seen, not stared at. Wanted, but not claimed. Desired, but not torn apart. And because she feels safe in your longing, she opens. She offers herself gently, honestly. She stops testing, stops guarding, stops managing how you see her. She opens because she sees your longing comes from fullness, not emptiness. She gives you her heart, not because you want it badly, but because she trusts you to carry it well. That's why she stays. Why her breathing slows near you. Others wanted parts of her, but you made space for her whole soul. Love blooms not because you ask for it, but because the space you create is finally safe enough for it. And that's who you are now. You don't beg for love. You don't bend yourself to be accepted. You've built yourself into a man strong enough to receive the kind of love that once scared you. She feels that. You are a safe place, where her heart can pour out without fear of it being wasted or judged. Your fire is no longer wild. It is sacred, and that tells her she can give all of herself here, and none of it will be wasted. She sees your strength, but it's your stillness that earns her trust. She hears your voice, but it's your quiet that makes her feel known. She senses your passion, but it's your patience that wins her heart. You don't pressure her to give. You make space for her to offer freely. She pours into you not because you begged, but because you prepared. And when a woman feels that, she gives what she thought she'd have to keep hidden forever. You have become the place where the impossible feels real. Not because you chased it, but because you became ready. You are the place where her joy grows, where her softness is safe, where her fears can be shared without being used against her. She doesn't see a man trying to catch her. She sees a man she can pour into without losing herself. And that is true intimacy. You are no longer waiting for love. You have become where love arrives and stays. That's why her heart no longer hesitates. It's not afraid of breaking, because in you it has found a safe place to rest. You didn't force this. You didn't try to prove yourself. You became the man who simply says, "By the way you are, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." And that is what makes her choose you again and again. Not because you played some game right, but because you refused to play at all. You became home, and home is where the heart goes without fear. Everything that shaped you, the waiting, the quiet, the work, prepared you for this. You're not trying to show who you are. You simply are. And now she sees not what you present, but what you carry. And what you carry is what she's been waiting for. She trusts you because you became ready, and her soul recognizes what is real.